Okay, so in today's video, I am going to be really comparing two totally different things, but they're starting to get lumped in together, which is actually very interesting in my opinion. And that is gold versus Bitcoin. So-called digital gold versus real solid actual gold. Kind of interesting how they're starting to get lumped together, because we're starting to see people like Kevin O'Leary and even Warren Buffett. Even though Warren Buffett is against Bitcoin, he's even said this, where Bitcoin is kind of like digital gold. And it's really, really interesting. So here's two ways that you can invest in them without having to take massive risk, but at the same time, I'm going to kind of give my opinions as well. So you could buy solid gold, or you can just buy an ETF that trades the futures of gold. So here we have Spider Gold Shares, GLD, and this will usually exactly right on, spot on, match the price of gold. Obviously, there's zero dividends on this ETF, and they do take a management fee of 0.4%. every single year. So let's say you have about $1,000 in there. Well, guess what? You're gonna be paying around $4 to have this ETF, because they are investing your money into gold. An actual very interesting way to invest in general is watching the MACD on the price of gold, because as we know, when the stock market goes down, the price of gold usually goes up. Whenever there is a recession, the price of gold goes up because it's a solid thing that you can invest in. It's always going to have value because the scarcity of the metal and for how much we actually use it. We can use it as currency, we can use it as jewelry, and for computer pieces. So because of that, it has a scarcity to it, and it's always going to be worth something. However, when it comes to the MACD, currently it's at 0, so you can't really judge it, but check out over here. The MACD was going down, as well as having that green, I'm colorblind, line over top of the blue. So if it's not green or blue, I'm sorry, I am colorblind. However, as we can see, this is now trading at pretty much 0. The market doesn't know where it's going to go. However, what has the market done since July? The market's gone up. This shows us that there was no way of this crossing. The MACD never crossed, and because of that, well, guess what? The market went up. You can actually kind of judge what's going to happen on the stock market, unless stupid crazy news happens, by the MACD on GLD. It's kind of weird how that happens. And literally has one holding, and that is gold. Meanwhile, something like BTCX.U, if you're in Canada, is a fantastic way that you can invest in Bitcoin, which is so-called a digital gold, which is kind of interesting. And the reason why they are calling it digital gold is because it's literally the top cryptocurrency. Will anything ever rival it or get more expensive than Bitcoin? Probably. It's a new type of currency. However, when we're looking at Bitcoin, what we are essentially seeing is that there is going to be only a limited number of Bitcoins ever made because of the mathematics behind the code. And that means that eventually, once all of these graphics cards and computers are able to mine every single Bitcoin, there will be no more Bitcoins being added to the ledger, which means that it's actually going to be more scarce than gold itself. Now, if you go to firstasset.com's website, which is the company that makes this ETF, this is .U is the US dollar one, then there's the B one, which is not US dollar one. Anyways, what we can see here is they actually give you the live rate at the time of making this video, and that is $51,900 per share of USD versus Canadian, which is $65,700. Also, the nice thing here is you can see how much Bitcoin you will get per unit of shares and units of Bitcoin. There is an auditor, which makes it a little bit more financially feasible and I guess I wouldn't be going into it if there wasn't an auditor, but they have to anyways. But anyways, management fee of 0.4%, so same as GLD. So these are kind of the safe ways to invest. When you're investing in Bitcoin, if you have Bitcoin yourself, you make sure you have dry storage. That is just going to allow you to not have somebody hack your stuff and steal all your Bitcoin, because that happens. However, this is when I've read about that ETF specifically, and they have dry storage for all their Bitcoins, so we don't have to worry about them losing their stuff. But either way, what I'm trying to get to is, what is better, gold or Bitcoin? Well, when it comes to gold, there is going to be, if we look even 10 years out, there's going to be more and more gold mined. And because of that, even though there is still a big, massive use for gold, it still can be used as currency in some markets. There's always more and more gold being added. Now, if we look at a 50-year period, 50 years out, we're still going to be seeing gold being mined. That's not going to stop anytime soon. There is a ton of gold on this planet that needs to be mined still. However, there is not a ton of gold. I remember reading a story that all the gold that's ever been mined can be like less than a foot on top of can cover less than a foot deep on a football field. I don't know how true that actually is, but there is still not that much gold in the world, but there's always gold being added. Meanwhile, with Bitcoin, once they mine all the coins, according to the mathematics, there will not be any more coins added to the ledger, which means that if this is going to be a future currency, which it definitely looks like it's going to be, especially with big companies like Tesla and even PayPal getting into the market of Bitcoin, this is going to be a currency going on into the future, and because of that, I believe that the price of Bitcoin is going to be continuously going higher unless governments like China continue to try and make it banned. And guess what? Guess who one of the largest holders of Bitcoin is? The Chinese government. I wonder why they keep on trying to ban it. Anyways, I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button and subscribe. Make sure to do your own research. Don't trust any random person online, and I'll see you guys again next time.